This is the unluckiest young man in the universe. The gangsters on the street treated him like a stray cat or a wild dog. Every day, he had to run away to save his life. Beidal is a true beggar disciple. He wandered to Japan with the dream of becoming a pilot, but Beidal did not expect that life was not like a dream. In a foreign land, he became a punching bag for people to practice their arm muscles. But in life, one should not look down on anyone. Those bullies did not know that they were playing with death, because inside that shabby, humiliating beggar was the will of a monster. No matter how much Beidal was trampled, his head had to be held high, because he could not accept being crushed by fate. He decided to give up everything in the present to restart the game. Having said that, he decided to go to the mountains to practice. Beidal thought that going to the mountains would allow him to play with monkeys and breathe fresh air. Unexpectedly, he had to inhale the smell of dirt until he choked. He practiced so hard that even the gods and demons had to respect him. Then, after going down the mountain, he became the nightmare of every martial arts school. He became a lonely beast that all of Japan feared. He alone founded the most brutal Kyokushin karate sect. So how arduous and difficult will the journey of the person at the bottom of society transform into a legend be? Will Beidal be able to defeat his opponent? Everything must go back to when Beidal was young. At that time, he was passionate about street martial arts. Realizing they had a talent for martial arts, a martial arts master named Bum Su felt affection for him and accepted Beidal as a disciple. Since then, the two masters and students practiced together in a simple outdoor dojo. Master Bum Su not only taught Beidal martial arts, but he also taught Beidal the noble principles of a martial artist, the dream of freedom like a bird conquering the sky. But then one day, the Japanese army invaded Korea. Master Bum Su had to say goodbye and told Beidal to practice hard, because Bum Su was one of the people being hunted by the Japanese to suppress the revolution. Time passed quickly, like the blink of an eye. With the martial arts that the master passed on, the young Beidal has now become a local champion fighter. Suddenly, a Japanese plane flew over and dropped leaflets. It was a flyer recruiting talented young military pilots with the dream of conquering the sky. Here, Beidal met a thug who had no profession and only knew how to rob. He saw that Beidal was new, and with Beidal's naive face, he thought Beidal was easy to bully. However, the thug did not know that he had messed with the wrong person. At this moment, Japanese soldiers suddenly rushed in to arrest Beidal for illegally crossing the Thema border. Beidal had no choice but to run away. The thug's crime was no less than Beidal's. It turned out that the thug was also a Korean exile living on the streets. He was often chased by gangsters like Eating, forcing him to jump on a truck to escape. Unexpectedly, Beidal was also here. Because of the same situation, the two people put aside their grudges. They started to get to know each other. The thug said his name was Chun Ba. He was a cunning expert in this land. land. That's why Chunba always had a lot of people chasing after him. The car just happened to go straight to the Japanese airbase. So luckily Chunba also escaped the gangsters' pursuit. As for Baidal, he arrived at the right place to learn to be a pilot. However, Baidal still couldn't escape his bad luck. The commander, Kato, peered. A soldier was about to rush forward when Baidal immediately fought back. However, the soldier immediately met Baidal, who was tired of living. Baidal stood in front of the gun and boldly declared that even if he was shot to death, he would not surrender. Suddenly, the boss Kato ordered a stop. Kato admired Baidal's tenacity and fearlessness. Kato invited Baidal to fight one-on-one. If Baidal won, Kato would spare Baidal and the others. Baidal, with nothing left to lose, immediately rushed in to attack. This made Kato extremely despise a Korean like Baidal. Kato did not bother to kill Baidal anymore and immediately left. In the following years, Baidal and Chunba became the two leaders of the street beggar team. They beg in the morning and swindle at night. The two of them had a game machine. Chunba bragged about play 1 win 10. Baidal pretended to be a big winner to lure his prey. The business was going well when suddenly some gangsters came to make things difficult for them. Because Baidal had not paid the protection money, the gangsters did not allow Baidal to continue doing business here. Knowing that Chunba was Korean, the gangsters hated him even more. They considered Baidal worse than an animal. Baidal was in great pain. At that moment, a man with no arm appeared. It turned out that he was Master Bumsu, who had taught martial arts to Baidal when he was young. After being chased by Japanese soldiers, Bumsu was lucky not to die but had one arm cut off. Now he encountered the bullies who dared to bully his disciples in the past. As a master, he could not help but teach them a lesson. Bumsu single-handedly fought off all of them. Meeting the master in this situation, Baidal was extremely humiliated and miserable. Baidal could only say sorry. Then the master took Baidal and Chunba to his circus. This circus is a place where Korean exiles gather. They work together to make a living. Here, Baidal once again begged the master to teach him martial arts like before. However, Bumsu did not agree because martial arts is a double-edged sword that will kill Baidal. To show his determination, Baidal knelt in front of the master's room from night to morning. Baidal ignored the rain and storm outside. The master pitied Baidal. He gave Baidal a set of clothes and a martial arts book and said that no one can save him but himself. The next day, Baidal and Chunba were starting to beg on the street when they were hit by a car. Unexpectedly, the person getting out of the car was Kato, the commander who had beaten Baidal to the point of death in the airbase years ago. When Kato saw Baidal, he immediately looked down on him and said, "Is licking urine just to live a life of begging?" The memory was recalled, making Baidal extremely ashamed. Baidal wished he had a lot of money and a high position to make Kato pay the price. That night, on the begging street at the night market, Baidal saw a beautiful girl being bullied by some Westerners. The police only dared to stand by and ignore it. Baidal, having an injustice, stepped in to help.
Did you say? Get either coming.
Baydal was surprised when he realized he had been holding the beauty's hand without realizing it. Sure enough, she was frozen for 5 seconds. Baydal left without saying anything. After this, Baydal was happy all day. From childhood until now, he had never had a love affair. Today, he suddenly had his first handshake. People with love are like having a new world. Since then, Baydal realized that his martial arts were not useless. He practiced even more enthusiastically to practice chivalry. As for lustful Westerners, he would beat them without fail. Baydal could even destroy their tools to rescue innocent girls. Since then, the Westerners issued a wanted notice for Baydal, and they rewarded anyone who captured Baydal. Suddenly, Baydal became a youth idol. Baydal had many girls willing to ovulate and follow him. Yoko also realized that Baydal was the one who had saved her. She secretly loved Baydal. Baydal could never forget that handshake that day. Baydal decided to quit his job as a con artist. Baydal switched to driving a cyclo to earn a living to approach the beauty. Baydal's identity was discovered, and he immediately ran away. However, the Westerner blocked Baydal's head. He shot Baydal, causing Baydal to faint. Waking up from a coma, Baydal found that Yoko had taken him home to treat his wounds. She thanked him and expressed her desire to be friends. In the following days, the two often met and dated a lot. Their feelings gradually grew to the point of being more than friends and less than love. Their story was as beautiful as a fairy tale. Suddenly, one day, Baydal saw a rebellious long-haired guy who looked very familiar. Baydal had met him somewhere before. It turned out that he was Kato's junior. Baydal had met him at the airbase one day. He led Baydal to meet Kato. Kato warned Baydal that Kato had practiced karate since his mother's womb. If Baydal continued to cause trouble in the market and cause trouble with the Westerners, Kato would not hold back and beat Baydal to death. It turned out that after the war ended, Kato had excellent martial arts skills and had become the president of the Japanese Karate Association. Kato did not want Baydal to take the title of samurai, while Baydal was Korean. At the same time, the gangsters who had forced Baydal to lick his shoes appeared. They were going around robbing and looting everywhere. They came to Master Bumsu's circus. The circus was saving money to build a school for orphans, but the gangsters wanted to rob this money. Bumsu would never let them do this. Baydal and Chunba ran back to the circus, but it was too late. Unable to swallow this anger, the next day Baydal led his juniors carrying sticks to avenge their master. In the rain, the two sides engaged in a life-and-death battle. The battle ended with countless casualties. After this battle, Baydal realized the words his master had taught him long ago. Justice without strength is meaningless. Whoever is strong is justice. Knowing that in this society, there are few good people and many bad people, the weak will never have a voice. Baydal knew he had to change. Baydal had to put love aside to start his life over. Baydal held the book that his master gave him in his hand. He was determined to break up with his lover and then pack up to practice. Baydal chose to go to the high mountains to cultivate his mind. He built a small hut and then started practicing. The first steps were always very difficult. Baydal had to cut his hair with a knife. He ate wild fruits to survive. He was no different from a man possessed by a demon, but Baydal thought of the death of his master and his brothers. With his strong will, he overcame every difficulty. Baydal practiced day and night, day after day, month after month. In the morning, he warmed up his muscles by crossing 69 kilometers of mountains and forests. After warming up, he climbed the ice mountain to practice his flexibility. He punched tree trunks to practice his 1,000-pound fist technique. He cut rocks with his bare hands like cutting mud. He also broke wooden poles in half. Baydal did upside-down push-ups with one finger, extremely powerful. Baydal practiced so much that the clothes his master gave him were torn like a loofah. Baydal practiced regardless of time and weather. Finally, after many days of hard training, Baydal was able to master his martial arts. Baydal created his own martial arts and decided to go down the mountain. Baydal just walked to the land of Kyoto. The first sect that Baidal challenged was that of Taoist priest Nijo. Baidal looked like a beggar. The martial artists here realized that Baidal was the bedwetter from back then and began to feel extremely bored. However, because Baidal challenged so openly, it angered Nijo. He immediately put Baidal on the stage to teach Baidal a lesson. The first martial artists had practiced martial arts for 30 years. Others were afraid when they heard their achievements. But when Baidal made his move, these long-time martial artists could not stand up. That's right, if Baidal could break a wooden pole, it would be strange if human bones were not crushed. People who have practiced martial arts for 30 years can still withstand 3 moves from Baidal. People who have practiced martial arts for 20 years or less, Baidal can defeat them with just 1 kick. Baidal beats everyone. Finally, the Taoist priest challenges him. He tries to act like he's fine, but his legs are shaking. But he still falls after this match. A famous fight helps Baidal become famous in the newspapers. Everyone, Baidal's fans, even use a warship to take him across the ocean to a famous martial arts school in Sapporo. However, the karate fighters here are not much better. Baidal continuously wins, making his name always mentioned in people's gossip. They compare Baidal to a lonely beast that can defeat many sects. The beautiful Yoko hears the name of the person she loves on the radio. Her heart beats with indescribable excitement. During that time, she had faithfully waited for Baidal to return. However, the person who followed Baidal the most was not Yoko, but Kato, Baidal's sworn enemy. Kato could not help but feel jealous when Baidal was famous for being invincible. Kato did not expect that one day Baidal would be so strong. As for Baidal, he went everywhere to find a strong person to fight. Baidal sought out Conan martial artist Mori. Baidal only needed a heel to make him dizzy. Baidal continued to seek out the most powerful ninja sect in the Himeji region. The messengers were present. They were ready to record this challenge. The surrounding audience was amazed. With the ultimate technique of using his hand to kill instantly that Baidal had practiced, he immediately went to a bamboo forest. He wanted to challenge a very famous Okamoto swordsmanship school with his bare hands. Baidal used the extremely scary technique of killing instantly, and so Baidal won. Baidal challenged the next school, Hirano. Hirano had an extremely powerful judo martial art. Their warriors threw Baidal into the sky and then brought him back down to the ground. They considered Baidal a frog. However, Baidal was just probing the opponent's strength. After understanding the enemy, Baidal rose up to counterattack. Baidal launched a powerful blow in response to the enemy. In the final match, Baidal went to a cave to fight the grandmaster of the Hihashi sect. Hihashi was a master of Aikido. At the beginning of the match, the two seemed evenly matched, but victory gradually leaned towards Baidal. Baidal broke his opponent's arm and won. After many days of challenging everywhere with the martial art he founded, Baidal defeated all the sects in Japan. The sects were defeated by an unknown name, so they were too humiliated. They had to regain their dignity by removing all their signs. The media considered Baidal as a wild beast. Now the only person who could confront Baidal was Kato. Kato was the president of the Japanese Karate Association. Under pressure from public opinion, Kato had to go to the press and say that Baidal's martial arts were just cat-scratch martial arts. Baidal is just a cheap thug who likes to show off. Kato doesn't bother to fight Baidal. However, Kato still secretly sends people to assassinate Baidal. After a long time of challenging everyone, Baidal finally returns to the beautiful Yoko. Yoko is the girl he loves and wants to protect for the rest of his life. While she is bathing Baidal, the two share their first kiss after many days apart. The next day, when Baidal and Yoko meet their fans, Kato's henchman secretly approaches, stabs Baidal in the stomach very accurately, but he doesn't expect Baidal's luck to be so great. With the doctor's skills and dedicated treatment, Baidal has overcome the critical stage and his life is not in danger. Yoko, worried about her lover, makes Baidal promise that from now on, he will not be allowed to compete in the ring again. She doesn't want him to get hurt and doesn't want him to get hurt because if he hurts once, she will hurt 10 times. She She had sincere feelings for him at first sight, so she wanted to go with him for the rest of her life until her hair turned gray. Baidal also confided that life was cruel, but he was not afraid. He was only afraid that Yoko would be absent on the way home. He was afraid that one day he would not see her bright smile again. After that, the two of them sublimated their emotions with love. Baidal had just promised Yoko not to fight anymore, but the next day he received a letter of challenge. The letter was sent by Kato's long-haired assassin. Because he had promised his wife, Baidal did not care about the letter. Seeing that Baidal had no reaction, Kato immediately pressured Baidal by sending someone to beat Baidal's friend. Chunba received a life-threatening beating. Chunba said that the next person Kato aimed for was Yoko. Kato would do everything to force Baidal to step into the fighting ring again. Baidal, in order to protect his lover, despite being injured, still went to the meeting place with the assassin. It was an abandoned temple. While Baidal played with his bare hands, the assassin was equipped with a sharp katana. He immediately rushed in to attack. Baidal could only block the sword with his bare hands. Luckily, Baidal still had the skills he had practiced hard in the mountains before. Baidal launched a punch that killed his opponent instantly. Unexpectedly, the opponent was too weak. He took a full punch from Baidal and died. The next day, Baidal was immediately sent to a prison camp. Yoko asked to see him, but Baidal refused. Baidal was ashamed for breaking his promise to her. He was extremely remorseful because his actions had taken the life of a person. Kato was extremely angry when he saw the assassin's death. He wanted to personally fight a life-and-death battle with Baidal to avenge him. He wanted to regain the honor of Japanese martial arts. That's why he didn't want Baidal to die in prison. He pressured the police, forcing them to release Baidal on the grounds that Baidal killed someone in self-defense. When Baidal was released from prison, Chunba picked him up. It was raining like Yoko's tears. He thought Baidal would return to find his lover, but unexpectedly, he took a train to a remote village. That was the home of the assassin that Baidal had killed. There were also his wife and son. Here, Baidal could only kneel down and apologize to the mother and son. However, the wife could not accept that apology. She hated the person who killed her husband. She hated Baidal for making her child fatherless. Baidal had accidentally broken up a happy family. The wife couldn't control herself and threw shit in Baidal's face to chase him away. But now he was willing to work as a horse for the mother and son. Baidal wanted to replace the assassin to take care of the mother and son for the rest of his life. Day after day, Baidal was still there, hoping that the mother and son would forgive him. One day, the boy was bullied by his friends because he had no father. Baidal came to rescue and comfort the boy. So the boy opened his heart to Baidal. The boy said he wanted to go to the highest mountain to watch the sunrise. Baidal immediately agreed. Baidal did not mind the hardship of carrying the boy across the high and cold mountain. Baidal tried to make the boy's dream come true, even though his wound was still bleeding. After many hardships, Baidal finally brought the boy to the top of Miovat to watch the sunrise. From then on, the boy also considered Baidal as his second father. Suddenly, Chunba appeared. Chunba said that the Kato gang wanted to force Baidal to compete, so they spread rumors that Baidal was having an affair with the assassin's wife. Public opinion condemned Baidal to compete and not run away anymore. The assassin's wife understood Baidal's heart. Baidal wanted to make amends with the mother and son, so he forgot about reality. So she encouraged Baidal to fight to become the best fighter. From there, Baidal could be an example for her son to follow and grow up to be a good person. Baidal had no other choice. He had to keep the honor of the mother and son and save his own face. Baidal had to say goodbye to them and leave. The little boy shed tears because he missed Baidal. Baidal took a bath to return to the racetrack. Baidal entered the ring to challenge. Baidal thought he would fight Kato right away. Unexpectedly, Kato sent a group of fighters to attack Baidal. Although Baidal was alone against the majority, he did not show any weakness. Baidal only considered them as punching bags for him to warm up his arms. After Baidal had beaten him to his heart's content, Kato finally appeared. He arrogantly challenged Baidal, but Baidal had spent a long time cultivating his mind and character. Baidal did not bother to respond. Entering the match, Baidal let Kato attack without fighting back. It turned out that Baidal wanted to feel Kato's strength. After Baidal understood his opponent's moves, he began to counterattack repeatedly, making Kato unable to block. However, in the end, Baidal's fist stopped. Baidal did not want to kill Kato because he could not repeat the previous mistakes. This made Kato extremely admirable. Kato truly respected Baidal's strength and morality. Baidal, from a street urchin known as the bedwetter, has now transformed and become someone that everyone must respect. From then on, Baidal lived a happy life with the beautiful Yoko. Baidal changed his name to the Japanese name Masatatsu Oyama. The martial art that Baidal created was named Karate Kyokushin. Baidal became an invincible fighter that no one could match. A strong bull was no match for Beidao. The film tells the story of the life of martial arts legend Oyama, the founder of the Karate Kyokushin school. Oyama was originally Korean, so in 2004, Korean cinema made this film to commemorate the 10th anniversary of his death, and also dedicated to karate brothers in particular, and martial arts brothers in general. Today's film ends here. Thank you everyone for watching, goodbye, and see you again.